I am accompanied by Jeff Kildall, Rules Coordinator, who will be providing detailed information on this rule proposal, and Tierney Hamilton Steele, Policy and Rules Administrative Assistant, who will be assisting with the hearing. Board members and other LCB staff may be in attendance as well, but will not be engaging in any discussion today. Please refer to the board meeting calendar if you are interested in providing general comments to the board. For the record, this hearing is being held on Thursday, April 9th, 2026 in a hybrid format beginning at 1 p.m. pursuant to the Administrative Procedures Act, Chapter 3405 RCW. Today's hearing is being recorded and the recording will be saved with our rulemaking file. The recording, including all public testimony, the sign-in sheet, and any documents you provide are subject to public disclosure and will be provided to anyone upon request. The Teams chat feature is disabled during the public hearing. If you have questions or encounter problems during the public hearing, please email us at rules@lcb.wa.gov. We will be checking this email during the hearing. Notice of today's hearing was published in Washington State Register 26-06-093 on March 4th, 2026, posted on the LCB's website and sent to interested parties. Per the notification, all written comments must be received by the end of the day today to be considered for this rulemaking. Please email comments to rules@lcb.wa.gov. Thank you to all who registered online to provide oral testimony. There actually were no folks who did so, and there's no one here in person. So I'm going to move on to the next section. The hearing is being held to consider testimony presented on proposed amendments to Washington Administrative Code necessary to implement recent legislation. If adopted, the Contract Kitchens Rule would amend WAC 314.02.015, WAC 314.02.035, and WAC 314.02.045 to allow domestic breweries or microbreweries to subcontract with one or more individuals or entities, including mobile food trucks, to satisfy food service requirements necessary to obtain and maintain a beer and/or wine restaurant license or spirits, beer, and wine license. Any comments received today, as well as written comments received, will be considered prior to requesting board approval to adopt the rule proposal. The tentative adoption date for these rules, provided that no further changes are deemed necessary in response to public comments, is May 6th, 2026, and the tentative effective date is June 6th, 2026. Jeff Kildall will now provide additional details of this rule proposal before we begin with public testimony.
Good afternoon. My name is Jeff Kildall, and I am the Rules Coordinator for this rulemaking project. These proposed rule amendments here today are drafted to implement engrossed House Bill 1602 by allowing domestic breweries and microbreweries to subcontract with one or more individuals or entities in order to satisfy the food service requirements they need in order for them to obtain and keep a beer and wine restaurant license or a spirits, beer and wine restaurant license. And this includes mobile food trucks. The proposed amendments to the existing rule affect WAC sections 314.02.015, 314.02.035, and 314.02.045. These proposed rule changes do the following in several areas of the licensee's operation. They allow domestic breweries and microbreweries to contract, lease, or sublease out the domestic brewery or microbrewery space for food service purposes to qualify and maintain a spirits, beer and wine restaurant license or beer and wine restaurant license. Also, they allow contracted mobile food units to sell food and non-alcoholic beverages to the public. They also allow a domestic brewery or microbrewery to own and operate a mobile food unit to meet the food service requirements for their license. The proposed rule changes also would do the following to regulate breweries or microbreweries seeking restaurants licenses, such as setting storage requirements for the brewery or microbrewery leasing or subleasing space on the premises to maintain storage space for non-tax paid alcohol, setting information requirements for domestic brewery or microbrewery contracting or leasing space on its premises to include the following information in the contract or lease, including diagrams, inspection information and notices, required food service permits, and terms regarding hours of food operations. The proposed rules also require that changes to the domestic brewery or microbrewery's contract or lease, vendor or kitchen plan must be submitted to the board. And these rules also require the domestic brewery or microbrewery to ensure that all applicable food service requirements are satisfied at all times when they are open for business. An informal comment period for this rulemaking was held on the CR 101 from September 3rd, 2025 until October 17th, 2025. In addition, on November 18th, 2025, the LCB held a virtual public stakeholder meeting to review the rulemaking project and consider draft changes to rule language in WAC sections 314.02.015, 314.02.035, and 314.02.045. The CR 102 to propose these rule amendments was filed as WSR 2606093. And as mentioned, the final rule language for this rule, if all goes smoothly, would be adopted by the board in the form of a CR 103 on May 6, 2025, and that would have the rules taking effect on June 6th. I'm sorry, 2026. And it would have the rules taking effect on June 6th, 2026. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Jeff. The LCB evaluated the potential economic impact of the proposed rules on small business. It was determined that a small business economic impact statement was not required because the amended rule is not anticipated to result in more than minor costs on businesses as defined in RCW 1985-020 subsection 2. Additionally, cost-benefit analysis requirements under RCW 3505-328 do not apply to rules proposed by the LCB. Accordingly, unless voluntarily applied or made applicable by the Joint Administrative Rules Review Committee under RCW 3405-328 5A2, LCB rules packages do not include a cost-benefit analysis. We will take testimony beginning with those who have signed in to testify in person today, and then we will move on to those who have registered to testify virtually in the order received. Each speaker will have 5 minutes. When called, please identify yourself and identify any applicable affiliations for the record. Please limit your comments to the topic of today's rulemaking. Note, today's hearing is not the appropriate forum for general comments unrelated to the specific rulemaking proposals under consideration. Deliberate refusal to stay on topic will result in dismissal of your testimony and you may be asked to leave. For people testifying virtually, we'll unmute you so you can speak. We'll look for your names of people who registered to provide comments today, and it may take a moment to find you on Teams. Because of the nature of the public hearing, LCB staff will not be able to answer any questions during the hearing itself. If you'd like to provide additional comments or have questions about this or other rulemaking projects, please email the rules team at rules@lcb.wa.gov. At this time, we will now take testimony on the Contract Kitchens rules implementing Engrossed House Bill 1602. So I see that we have one person here virtually with us, Alexis. Tierney, if you could go ahead and unmute Alexis, please.
Alexis, you should be able to unmute your microphone now for your testimony. Not seeing any action, and I didn't see a raised hand, so I'm not sure if they did want to speak today or just watch.
Okay. Yeah, Alexis, if you wanted to provide testimony and are having some sort of technical difficulty, please either enter something in the chat, or you can send an email to us at rules@lcb.wa.gov. So we'll just give it a minute here, and if we don't hear anything, then we'll move forward.
I just turned the chat back on, so I'm just giving it an extra minute because it was off when you first said that. So that was my fault. My apologies.
That's okay. Thank you. Yeah, I had said that the chat feature was off, so we'll give it a minute here.
Oh.
I don't have any testimony. Okay. Thank you, Alexis. Appreciate that. In that case, we'll give it just another minute, just in case anybody hops on, and then we'll wrap it up. Thank you. We'll go ahead and call that good. Seeing as there is no one else here to testify today, the deadline for sending in written comments is 11:59 p.m. today, Thursday, April 9th, 2026. And I want to thank those who attended today. This hearing is adjourned at 1:13 p.m. Thank you.